Hello, good evening, and welcome back. Well, seeing as a no-deal Brexit has become illegal for the 31st of October, and that there will be an extension to the end of January if a deal isn't agreed upon by the 19th of October, Boris Johnson has come out to say that he insists deal is possible as he holds DUP talks. That's from the BBC News 4 minutes ago. So Boris Johnson has said there is a way of getting a new Brexit deal with the EU as he holds talks with Democratic Unionist leader Arlene Foster. The PM said loads of people wanted an agreement, but he was prepared to leave without one if absolutely necessary. Yes, he's pretty hard set on actually leaving when they said that they would leave. He doesn't want an extension like his Tory predecessor, and he does actually want to leave on time. But the Northern Irish Party warned any solution leading to trade borders with the rest of the UK was a non-runner. Parliament was dramatically suspended for 5 weeks on Tuesday after MPs rejected calls for an early election. And that was at 2 o'clock this morning, just after they said that there would need to be that extension. They then said, no, we don't want a general election. Labour's call before that was to say, well, hey, we want to make sure no deal is off the table before calling for a general election, and yet for some reason they've still decided, no, we're not going to call for a general election. So, well, what do you know you're unpopular? Do you think maybe it's time to take a look in the mirror, reflect on what you've done, and then move forward in a different direction, given that you know you're losing support, you're hemorrhaging support, if there's any left to hemorrhage at this point. But we will get onto that soon. And John Bercow, the Speaker of the House, has, of course, finally decided to step down at the end of October. And when he left, you see that, or announced that he would be resigning, it was the opposition, the pro-Remain people who were cheering for him, and the Brexiteers were like, yep, bye. Which I think is a good reflection of where he stands, or where he stood in his position about Brexit. So I'm not sad to see him go at all. Some would even say he deserves his wife. So, Mr Johnson said claims that this was an affront to democracy of the proroguing were a load of nonsense, saying the opposition parties had been given the chance of an election before the Brexit deadline on Halloween, but spurned it. And a load of the MPs here were holding up signs saying silenced, while they were ironically making a hell of a lot of noise, trying to get in the way of Speaker John Bercow there. And they're not silenced at all. They had a hell of a long time to decide what would be done about Brexit, and they flaunted it. They didn't take advantage, and now they're in this position. They brought it upon themselves, as far as I'm concerned, and they're not silenced at all, because I'm sure the BBC would be happy to hear from them, because that's what the BBC does. Academic Agent likes to point that out as well, of just how frequently and how obvious the BBC are with all their pro-Remain pundits on their shows. So that's it for this. The Labour Party did decide to sing their Red Flag song at the end, as they are ones to do, and if you haven't heard of it before, let's just give a quick rundown. That Wikipedia claims that it's a socialist song. It's not commonly associated with organisations aligned to the principles of Marxism-Leninism, and its derivatives, translated versions of it, are sung by the Japanese Communist Party and Korean People's Army. So it does go both ways. The lyrics, in case you're wondering, are here. I'll zoom out a bit. There we go. And the main thing they say is the people's flag is deepest red. They say we'll keep the red flag flying here. That's the chorus. And they're saying that it's loved throughout Europe, including reference to Moscow. And bear in mind, this was at the end. This was written early 20th century. There we go. And they're saying it witnessed many a deed and vow. We must not change its colour now. The Irish gentleman who wrote this with socialism fully in mind. He was supposedly inspired by a railway traffic guard raising and lowering the red flag at the train station, but it is still a reference to socialism and full-on communism. As we all know, socialism is just a stepping stone to communism. One of the verses is particularly interesting, given that they are Remainers singing this. It suits today the weak and base, whose minds are fixed on pelf and place, to cringe before the rich man's frown and haul the sacred emblem down. It's not the EU, the sacred emblem. Am I missing something there? And they say, come dungeons dark or gallows grim, this song shall be our parting hymn. And it's been going on for over 100 years, given that Labour's had it since their inception. Little over 100 years ago. No, I think 1917, I believe. They've had it. Tony Blair tried to downplay it, but hey, Corbynistas don't want to hear that. Comrade Corbyn is set on his Marxist ways. Which brings us on to Labour manifesto unlikely to reveal Brexit stance. Yes, they don't know because they don't want to disillusion their union base. So, Jeremy Corbyn has promised a further referendum on Brexit with a credible leave option versus Remain if his party wins the next general election. He said Labour was ready for the campaign, but its priority was to stop a no-deal Brexit. There we are. Union leaders want leave on the ballot and met Corbyn earlier to discuss the issue. They were part of drawing this up after all. As I say, BBC's political correspondent Ian Watson said senior Labour figures had been arguing that backing Remain would recover ground lost to the pro-EU Liberal Democrats in recent elections. Yes, and that's why it's important for the Tories to get on board with the Brexit Party, as I mentioned in a previous video. But basically, they're doing what they're saying. They're never sure because they're trying to not alienate anyone, but as Dr. Seuss said, if you try to make everyone like you, you'll make no one like you. That's basically it. I'm paraphrasing, obviously. So, speaking to the TUC conference in Brighton on Tuesday, he said, our priority is first to stop no deal and then to trigger a general election. Obviously the MP for Brighton is Green, the Caroline Lucas, the one Green MP, but never mind. No one can trust the word of a Prime Minister who is threatening to break the law to force through no deal, or to break the law by threatening to remain in the EU. Oh no, sorry, that's not what they said. So a general election is coming, but we won't allow Johnson to dictate the terms. He added, we're ready for that election, we're ready to unleash the biggest people-powered campaign we've ever seen. And in that election, we will commit to a public vote with a credible option to leave and the option to remain. So again, they're trying to form both sides. As far as I'm concerned, if you insist on another deal, it's going to be insist on another vote. Is it going to be no deal, or is it going to be with a deal? And how much time are you going to allow for that one? So that's what Labour says. What Labour says is basically, we don't know. Whatever everybody wants, that's what we're going to do. But we don't know, and we're not going to pin our colours to the mast. So as always, let me know what you guys think below. Always interested to hear your guys' thoughts. Thank you so much for watching, and I will see you next time. Have a good one.